Are we live?
I think we are.
Are we? Because it's not showing
We
up on
are.
my phone.
Hold on, it should be coming up here soon. Yep, we're live. Oh,
Sweet.
hold on a second.
Oh, we're live.
Yep, there we go.
Good.
Can't see with these glasses.
I guess it's still morning. It's Wednesday, August 5th. It's just two queers in a truck. I actually got the show name in the first minute or so, or however long we've been on the air. We're now post-vacation, so you're back in actually Charlotte. If that is
is this your sign? This is Jenny's sign.
A little mahalo.
I got a side camera today.
I do more of this, a little bit of the.
Hang loose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang loose, just to be kind of chill, because summer's my favorite time of the year.
Alexa, stop.
The warm weather, the everything. But hi, everybody. I'm Jenny-Jaymes Gunn, and we are still doing the responsible thing since somebody decided to go to COVID Central, the state of Florida. On vacation for 3 weeks. we wanted to practice what we preach on the show. Since we've only done a few shows on the pandemic, haven't we?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, sorry. You're being sarcastic.
Now, this show is the show where I'm probably going to bust your chops a little bit, and I am going to tell a funny story on you. I am going to spill some tea, and this is a epic Christian story. And we were chatting while Christian was still down in Florida. And for everybody that doesn't know who my co-host is on this show, is Christian. and one of the hilarious things is some people know that watch the show that I'm vegan, and I've introduced Christian to more and more, and Andrew to more and more vegan things. We did a vegan chili. We did a chili cook-off where we did vegan chili.
We won.
Spicy chili. We won the spiciest chili.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, we killed it.
We got a bar tab.
And we actually came in second on the beer pong thing a few weeks before that.
That's right.
We tore up such a long time ago. And we could still go to bars. And so he sends me this picture. We're just chatting, just running the mill, just, how's everything going? And he sends me this picture of the meal they're eating. They're eating this oyster special. And he says, look, my meal is vegan. I'm like, did those come from a vegan tree or a vegan plant? I mean, like an oyster plant? I mean, it was such a hilarious. I mean, I was sitting at home playing on my iPad,
but in my defense,
crying. I was laughing so hard.
But Jenny, in my defense, a lot of people don't know the difference between vegan and vegetarian.
Correct, or pescatarian. The pescatarians can have seafood, primarily fish, is what they usually eat. Which I was before I went strict plant only. I was a pescatarian. And then I went from pescatarian to a vegetarian for a short while. And then I went full out vegan on January 1st, 2019, to where no animal products whatsoever. And it is confusing because when they say we don't eat meat, so they automatically think meat is beef. Yeah. So they think, well, you can still eat chicken. Chicken's not meat. And I'm like, no, it's animal products. Like there's I don't do dairy. I don't do anything that's derived from an animal, whether it's an egg, whether it's cheese, no matter what it is, if it comes from an animal, I don't eat it. It has to be plant-based.
Well, I just finished sharing this. Sorry, I wasn't trying to ignore you. I was finished sharing this, but I wanted to start the show with my new Oakley hand-me-down glasses. Apparently, it has a little scratch here, so someone wanted to hand me down some glasses. I'm so excited to get 7-year-old hand-me-down glasses. But I still feel on vacation mode. I got my Key West garb on. I have a new hat. It is a key, and I've got all your things that we got you. I don't want to show them to everybody, but my new Key West hat. So I'm really giddy about that.
So how was it down there?
Oh, it was wonderful. It was, it's almost, I could live there, but it's wonderful. Who knows? We may go back for another month. We'll see what happens if I test negative and today and so forth. But
the proof will be in the pudding.
Yeah. So welcome everyone who's joining us. I have a side camera going on here today because when we did this show last week from the Tiki Hut, I had that side camera and it looked kind of neat. So anytime you say something that's kind of shady, I'm going to look in the side camera like this.
Well, that's going to be most of the show. So you get, well, last week, because I watched the gallery view so I can see all the cameras.
Yeah.
On my iPad. And I saw you doing the look back and forth between the two cameras last week, and I'm like, this fool's just checking himself out. Like I was going to call it out last week, but I'm glad you told on yourself. Between that and eating your neighbor's key lime pie on the previous show, so he busted himself. So he brought back all.
It was good, girl. It was some good pie.
You hogged down the pie, like that was.
Yes.
Yeah, that to me, they're probably going to scalp the yard next time.
I thought you were going to call me out because we actually ate it before. Remember? We bought their pie, and we decided to stay an extra week. So we said, let's go ahead and eat this. We'll get them another one, and we didn't have a chance to go buy another pie. So luckily, when we got back, they had to go to Florida for an emergency. I mean, let's say luckily, but so yeah.
I do have my sunblock.
Oh, wonderful.
So I have my bikini top underneath this. So I actually have a bikini top. I have my Cheers Queers t-shirt. I changed tops. And then I have my my beach towel that my kids bought years ago.
Barb had said that she thought that looked like Chicago Bears. It looks like more Patriots colors.
It's actually
Patriots.
It's red, white, and blue, but it's Mickey Mouse. So it's a silhouette of Mickey Mouse, if you can see.
Oh yeah, I see that now. Yeah,
it's a really cute towel. Yeah. I hardly ever use it because I don't want to tear it up too much because it's got a little bit of a sentimental attention. We did buy that in Disney in 2010, and my kids actually bought it for me. My youngest kid. There is a huge sentimental attachment to that I've had this towel for actually 10 years.
Wow.
So it's which we also went to the Disney in Florida. So
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it is vacation time of the year, and and also schools are going back to children are going back to school. In certain states, like some have already opened, some have done in-person learning, and some have.
And they had a backtrack, right? Down. I mean, we didn't talk about it on the show earlier, but Gwinnett County in Georgia, the largest school district in Georgia. The second one is Fulton County, which is Atlanta. Gwinnett County started their school year, and they had to close back, or they had 200 and something cases, and so I'm glad Charlotte made that decision. They should have done it in the first place, but better late than never, I guess. But all you had to do is look at the other, and we talked about this before.
Yeah, Wake County right away said we're immediately going into virtual learning, and we'll review it. I think they're going to review it after the first 6 weeks.
Yeah,
and monitor it, which is what most big cities have done, like in Dallas, Houston.
Yeah,
almost all of them. Some of these places are fairly conservative places, and universally, most places are starting with complete virtual. And in fact, there's a little bit of shade on, so the school board, and I don't know if this comes from the school board or if it comes from the individual principals, but the employees are still getting emails saying, we still require you to be in the building during the school week. So there's a little bit of controversy in that. It's almost like, well, we let you get off the hook with the in-person learning, but we're going to go ahead and make you come up to the building with the rest of the adults. And I'm like, so for the teachers that have kids, they're school-age kids that are in the public school system, what are they going to have to drag their kids up to the school building and teach other kids and then try to figure out how they're going to educate their kids? Or like, it's super shady, and not just the teachers, but I guess cafeteria workers, and I don't know who all is being forced back into the buildings, but I've been I'm part of a Facebook chat that is Mecklenburg County education system, and they're discussing the different things that are going on, and I was really surprised. Well, I'm not surprised, because it almost seems like certain principals are taking exception to this, and so they wanted to force. And I'm like, well, you guys aren't on the front lines like the teachers are,
Exactly.
or staff that constantly come in contact with these kids, or even the bus drivers, which typically a lot of bus drivers are retired people that now do that part-time job, driving kids back and forth to school.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think about, I'm almost every bus driver I ever had when I did ride the bus was well above 50.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to kill off half the bus drivers in 2 weeks, like
I'm not going to laugh, but that just sounded.
But one of the points is that if Mecklenburg County, for example, 4.1% year to date of people that contracted COVID have passed away from it in Mecklenburg County. That's the average. But as you get to the older groups, 50 and above, 60 and above, those that are typical bus driver ages, the numbers go way above 4. That's like taking 1-year-olds and averaging out the 90-year-olds, And so each category, so the older they are, like Dr. B was talking about earlier today, which I found it interesting that he was so pro when we did the school show, and I didn't say anything. I'm not going to throw him shade now because he's been a fabulous consultant, but I've noticed he's pivoted. I point blank asked him.
So if Dr. B's watching, I was gonna say the same thing, and I just yes.
We were really talking about vacationing, and he brought the schools up and said they shouldn't open the schools. I'm like,
that's not what he said in the show last.
I'm like, well, we did the school show now.
Oh yeah,
no, of course.
Maybe we misunderstood him.
No, he was pretty clear because I point blank asked everybody, would you send your kids?
Yes. Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
And he brought up this show where there was a bunch of doctors on, and all the doctors said, yeah, I'd send my kids. And so, and then I just thought it was interesting. But I also think that a lot of people.
Hold on, Jenny. Jenny, let me look at the side camera.
Yeah, this is a shade moment, but it's also a grace. It's also a grace moment too. Because I think we put so much weight on every public figure and what they say, because I can harken back to that February show, probably one of the last shows I did before I went on my hiatus, where we made fun of the coronavirus. We actually remember we did the mask show and we were making fun of it, and I called it Tecate. I said I prefer Tecate over Corona. They weren't even calling it COVID-19 at that point.
I remember I watched that. I'm glad you said that.
We were bad.
I periodically I'll watch like some of the old shows or whatever, and I've watched that show I think 3 times. Yeah, we were all tinfoil hat. Well, we weren't that bad. We were just because we didn't really know anything about it. Remember, we were because it was still blowing up in China, and I don't even know if Italy had gotten that. We were influenced by Jeff.
And Jeff brought those masks, and of course, to me, it wasn't even an issue, because really what we were talking about that week, I think, was some of the Republican-led states were doing anti-LGBT bills. Like they proposed like 44 different bills over less than 40 days. So we were more in the heat of the political season.
Yeah.
We really weren't paying attention to Corona. Obviously, our president wasn't either.
We did say Dos Equis, I remember that.
And so, it was one of those bizarre things. I think, and I saw a posting earlier today when I was scrolling through my Facebook when I was researching this and going on the Google machine too. And there was a guy that was actually like trying to call out Dr. Fauci because he threw out that first pitch. And then we had snapped a picture of him up in the stands. He was sitting with 2 other people, and there's he's not social distancing. Those people were in a party because there were only 3 next to each other in this baseball stadium. And he had his mask pulled down for a second, and they snapped a picture of him when he had his mask pulled down for a second. I'm like, Well, he's pretty close to 100 years old. Dr. Fauci's is not a young guy. I think he's 80 or 81. He's up there in age. I mean, he's been around forever, and he probably got a little winded, maybe even just climbing up the stairs or whatever. But give the guy some grace. I mean, from the fact that he's having to deal with Trump almost every working day. Is just.
Could you imagine? I mean, we talk about this all the time, and we talk about it personally all the time about how we've all worked with people that were hard to work with or whatever, but there's nothing worse than working with a dick. I mean, it's just like, we can talk to people or whatever, but when you work with like a dick, you're like, man,
well, it makes you dread going into work. Like, I mean, I think everybody's had one boss that was a total dickhead. Just where you just
had several.
there is. I mean, I worked in this resort sales business, and you get a certain fraternity F-boy type visor wearing, jerk that works in that industry, both as the frontline salespeople, and of course they usually promote within. So usually your managers are that hire those type of people. They go after that type of person. That is just not all. I don't want to characterize all, but there's definitely a contingent of just idiots. It's just you just want to look at them sometimes in some of the sales meetings and trainings and going, I'm thinking about what they're saying. I'm just tuning them out. I'm thinking about what I'm going to have for lunch, what am I after work, what am I do with the kids. I'm just like, just take this hour-long narcissistic rant by these people. I'm just surviving it, because in sales, when you get a bad manager, you get a really bad one, like an A-type from hell, not in a good way.
So you wanted to bring up the vegan thing. My niece, my oldest niece, she was a vegetarian for many, many years, and she posted a picture of her eating. I know it was something. I think it was a steak or something, and I said, I thought you were vegan, or I think she was vegan, not just vegetarian. And she said, Theo, I haven't been in 6 years. And I'm like,
wow.
At least I remember she was, but she doesn't eat a lot of meat at all. I mean, she just.
And a lot of people, they may not be full-blown vegetarian or vegan, but a lot of people, and this is one of the things, is I think we do live in this all or nothing world that is so polarized, to where it has to be perfect or it's not valid, it's canceled out. And I'm like, I would rather have progress than perfection. And for a lot of people that are listening, I think if they just have like a meatless Monday and just cut down their meat consumption or animal product consumption by a seventh, that's huge. Like that if we took every
meatless Monday, Taco Tuesday.
Yeah. And there's so many tacos you can make out of vegetables. You don't have to use beef every time. There's so many. I mean, like that vegan chili.
Oh yeah, that was good. Actually, you
remember people were coming up to us and going, "This is really vegan."
I had some of that. Like, I think I froze some of that, and I took it. I thought it was. I didn't label it properly, and so I took it with me because I thought it was hot dog sauce that I had frozen, but it was the vegan chili. And so when we had hot dogs in Key West, when I was grilling hot dogs, I warmed it up. I said, "Oh, this has got a spice," and I realized that's what it was. It makes really good. It made really good. Hot dog sauce. So
it does actually. It's one of the things. I use that vegan chili for, like, I'll take vegan sausages that I've grilled at your house before, and put them on a bun or some type of bread, and just put that on as a hot dog sauce. I've done that many times. It actually does. I was going to tell you, it really makes a great hot dog sauce.
So speaking of that, I'm eating bacon, and from now until eternity, every time I eat bacon, I'm going to remember that bacon story in Key West. So I thought that's what you were going to talk about. But for those who don't
No.
know, because I didn't say it last week, we were, as many may know, or you do now, we were in Key West for about 3 weeks, a little over 3 weeks. And the last week we were there was a RV pulling up kind of across, they have these fences, wooden fences, and there was an RV that was pulling up across, is backing up. I was out there grilling a bunch of bacon for the week. And the gentleman had a huge RV, was backing it up, and his wife was kind of directing him, which I'm not sure why they didn't have a camera in the back, but whatever. And so he almost hits the fence, and she's like, stop. And of course I didn't want to be polite and not go, I didn't want to say anything, because there's nothing worse than you get embarrassed or something. Yeah, no, I didn't really say anything. So they did, so it was already awkward because of that. And then she smelled the bacon. He got out, and you could tell he was not in a good mood. And so I went inside and let the bacon cook, and kept coming outside. And then he said, after the anxiety wore down, he said, "Oh, that smells really good." He said, "Oh yeah, I'm cooking bacon for a week," or something like that. And so Andrew had come out at that time of the camper, and the lady was still behind the RV. She was doing something, and he was, I don't know where the husband was. And she said, "Oh, that smells really good." And Andrew said something like, I think bacon goes good with everything, or I can't remember what we said. Or whatever.
Right.
And she goes, "Yeah." And she said, "Unless you're Muslim, our
yeah."
It was something. Yeah, it was something like that. And then I heard it, but I was acting like I didn't hear it. And Andrews didn't hear it. He goes, "Excuse me?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. What I said was, unless you're Muslim." Oh, so she repeated it instead of saying, "Oh, I'm sorry." She was, I would guess, white people, I always guess older, because they age really badly when they're in the sun a lot. She's probably early 60s, late 50s. And she said that, and then she said, "Oh, I'm sorry. This is so." At first I thought, oh, I didn't know what to say. And so I just didn't say anything. And then I thought, oh shit, we're gonna have to camp next to, they're not next to us, but we're gonna be, it was awkward. I didn't know what to say. And then, and so I didn't even say anything to Andrew, because Andrew I didn't want him to.
Maybe they were doing an ethnicity check, because you're a little darker, and they're like,
she had to. I was going to say, well, she and so it bothered me all night long. Should I have said something? Did I do that properly? And then I started thinking, I can see how people are peer pressured into laughing at inappropriate jokes.
Right.
Because whether it's in a work environment, or which is not right, but people just kind of, whatever, they just want to fit in. They don't want confrontation. And
right.
There is a certain section of white privileged people that take advantage of that. And they believe, well, no one's really going to call me out, so what's the worst thing? At least I'm going to get my joke in. And
right.
that's changed. It's changing a lot, because now we're saying, what? I know. What? Part of me wanted to be polite. The other part of me wanted to say something. So I was trying to think of a good response, and then you kind of gave me a good response, which I will now say forever. If someone ever makes like a Muslim joke or something that's inappropriate like that, I'm going to say, what was it? What the Muslims are the ones we have to worry about. It's those vegans.
Yeah.
And I wish I had said that, because I'm sure it would have thrown her like, I don't know.
What about the vegans?
What about the vegans? No, I'm not worried about the Muslims, or or whatever.
It's the radical vegans.
Yeah, it's those radical vegans that would have been funny. So then I thought to myself, maybe she didn't mean it to be offensive. Maybe it was just logically what it came to her mind. But do you think that was it? Was I missed? I don't know. You weren't there, but
I think
inappropriate.
I think some people are just. Technically, actually, she was right. It would be offensive to Muslims, because they don't eat pork. But I think too. And I've had Islamic coworkers, and I've seen people eat bacon in front of them, and it's not. This is like I'll be in a social situation where there's food being served, and there's people eating animal products right in front of me, and I don't fall on the floor and start, flipping out,
Yeah.
because I feel that food in the supply chain is one of the most democratic things you can do, is how you live your life, your intentionality. It's one of the reasons I went vegan, was not just for health reasons, because I am a trans woman. And I felt like I didn't want to put animal hormones in my body anymore. Health, weight loss, weight management. But the one of them was a moral objection to doing harm to animals. But then I saw an interesting post this week, or probably maybe 2 or 3 or 4 days ago, maybe it was Monday, and a fellow vegetarian vegan was posting about vegans. They'll say, well, one of the reasons we do this is because veganism does no harm. But then she pointed out that there's so much slave labor producing the produce, and I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, there most of our consumer products that come from different countries, very few of them enforce the fair trade stuff and don't pay livable wages to people overseas. Whether it's sneakers, cell phones, produce, whatever. But it brought up an interesting argument: is does veganism do no harm? Well, no. For the people that are working in these slave-like conditions, being paid $28 a month, to survive, if you're living in Vietnam, for example, and their standard of living is way below what an American or Westernized nation would be. Are we doing the wrong thing? Are we consuming products and coming from these nations without advocating for those people? Do we have the right to do that? Do we have the right to say, well, we can't? On one side, we're saying, well, we don't want American imperialism, and then the other is, well, we're going to go in this country, we're going to tell you how to pay your workers. And it's like, it's a catch-22. And so many of your very progressive activists counter each other in a lot of ways, where we're saying we want you to be hands off.
Yeah, but don't you think, Jenny,
enforce our ideals over here?
No, but Jenny,
it's a weird juxtaposition to be.
No, I do. I'm gonna channel the inner Jeff Scott in me. I think we can do what you said, is let other countries not be whatever the word you used, but we can also vote, make change with our dollars. So we can say, I want to be vegan, I want to buy these, and I will buy from you, Vietnam or whatever, only if I know that product is stamped with the vegan, humanitarian sign of approval, whatever, because then they will.
And some companies do that. I know that, and I'll use Trader Joe's as an example, that they only do business with people that pay fair wages and have fair labor laws in those countries, or they only do business with people that, and there's an actual term, and I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right, but it is just basically a term of equity, making sure they're not buying from individuals or corporations that are harming the people that produce the product, no matter what it is that they sell. And Trader Joe's, I know, is had a long-term policy on the ethics of how they source their products. But then that also drives the price up too. A lot of things like that usually are, especially if they're locally sourced, are a little bit more expensive than something mass produced, maybe in Juarez versus Dallas, Texas, or Charlotte, or something like that.
Well, I talked about that. When we were in Key West, I went to a Dollar Tree, and I've been to Dollar Trees before. I must have been confused. I think it's Family Dollar or Dollar General, where it says it's $1, but it's not really $1. It's like $1 and more. So you end up like paying $3.99. You don't really end up saving a lot. Well, everything was actually $1, and I was so impressed. I bought 33 items, only spent $33, or maybe 32 items, spent $33 with cash, whatever. And of course, I posted that, and some people were saying, well, my sister even, be careful, the recalls and and this, but it was. I kept thinking about. Every time someone would post something, I kept going, but it was only $1. Yeah. It was $1. It's like It was
Well,
like,
and most of that
be
stuff
careful
is
for the toothpaste. It may have lead in it. It was only $1.
well, and 99% of that is imported from countries that have
Yeah.
very low wages and
Yeah.
very questionable ethics on child labor and a lot of other things. And it's a catch-22 because the people, again, you go back to privilege, and for the people that can afford to shop at the more expensive stores, like a Target or something like that,
Target.
that we can avoid the discount stores, the Walmarts, the dollar stores, the places like the Aldi's. We can go to the more expensive stores, but that is a privilege too.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where lower income people always get caught in the middle. They get screwed on the production end, and then the consumer end as well.
So they had these. They have like a freezer section or food section, and they had these They were chili dogs. They were in a pack. All you do is nuke them for 90 seconds. And I bought two and said, "Oh, these look really good." So I bought them. They were like, what, 2,000 grams of sodium? I don't know. It was like outrageous amount of sodium. And Andrew wouldn't even touch it. He said, "Just throw that away." And I'm like, well, that's like your younger days. I might need that for a hangover or something, or this is. I did end up eating two of them not the same night, but one overnight when I was watching TV, and I felt like it's like the sodium was like, this is so bad for you. It was good though.
The cleaner that I've eaten, and especially this year where I've lost a lot of weight, is, I started cooking at home because I went into quarantine. I was in quarantine for 61 days where I didn't even leave the neighborhood. And I didn't go into a store or a business of any kind from March 22nd to May 23rd.
Yeah, I remember that. That
was a long time. I've never done that in my life. And, even when I was in the hospital.
Aren't you glad you did that though?
What?
I mean, are you glad you did that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and again, I had the privilege at that time to be able to do that. And it was, again, a very privileged thing that I was able to be able to pivot like that and be able to stay at home and be safe. And, and there's many Americans that do have it, and there's many that don't, or they lost jobs that aren't coming back. There's a lot of, this is where I was going to go with the tinfoil hat award. Definitely one for the Republican Party in totally crapping the bed and
on the convention,
renewing the pandemic assistance.
$600
a week. But they should, Moscow Mitch and 45. I won't even give him a name.
Yeah.
Totally dumped on 25 million Americans, by not renewing that.
And it's going to help. And if you think about it, Jenny, just like what we found out with Obamacare, when they were trying to kind of repeal that, when Trump first took office, there was this huge backlash. And in our 9th congressional district, we were like we had the second most people that would have been affected. Like 55,000 people would have been affected in our 9th congressional district. So Robert Pittenger was against it at that time, and he didn't really back off, but he stopped really bad-mouthing it as much as he did because it was a lot of rural white people, working class white people are in Affordable Care Act or Obamacare. And with this, the extra unemployment insurance, which I think is ridiculous that Americans should beg for their own money back. Right. I mean, that's just crazy.
And it's a minimal amount of money. So that the 25 million Americans that are being helped by the PUA, the $600 a week bonus that they put on every unemployment check weekly, only adds up to being $15 billion a week. So it's not out of the trillions of dollars that we dumped into corporations right away. Like scratch big old checks to American Airlines. The Catholic Church got a $1.4 billion. Now, how
that's crazy.
The Catholic Church got $1 billion, but we begrudge 25 million Americans that's $600 a week, which on a 40-hour work week is only $15 an hour. It's not like
but I don't know if you remember, but when we were talking about this, when they were about to pass it, remember Mama Ruth had said something about churches, how the churches were also looking for money because their donations are down and they have employees in the churches. And I made some comment like, well, separation of church and state, apparently, I don't know, I guess Mama Ruth can tell us one day, apparently all the churches knew that they're going to be applying for it, which I think once again is completely hypocritical. Churches are nonprofit, they don't pay no taxes.
Right.
So how, I mean, I just think it's just outrageous that organizations that don't pay taxes I don't mind them getting money, but don't argue with people who actually do pay those taxes, like the citizens.
Well, and to me, religious organizations should never get money of any kind.
Yeah, so I don't think so either.
There is a constitutional amendment that says separation of church and state, and it's not just the freedom of religion. The fact that we're not a Christian nation, for one thing. Yeah. We are a non-affiliated nation. You can worship or not worship. There's no state-sponsored religion, and the other caveat was separation of church and state. No public money should ever go to a religious nonprofit organization.
Which is why I'm against charter schools and vouchers. I'm against all that kind of stuff because that's how they sneak it in. But don't you think, and I know we've talked about this before, even though we've kind of passed it, I always try to find some commonality with other people. And even though now most of the rational Trump supporters have already broken off, like the Lincoln Project people or whatever, but there's still some that are still hanging in there, whatever that percentage is, the 33% that he has not lost, that are in there hell or high water, that will walk over broken glass for him or whatever. One thing that we can find, I keep trying to think, they're probably racist. They are racist. But a lot of them are, because we know some of them they're not really religious. They're secular individuals. They're not the evangelical ones that follow him because of whatever. They're pretty much working class, white, high school education individuals, and they're not going to church every Sundays or whatever. So that's one thing that we could probably agree with them. I mean, I don't know how they would defend Trump no matter what. Yeah. But because Trump's not religious. I mean, he's, and and that's good. And that might be one of the reasons why people gave him a thought, because they thought, well, he's not milking, other than just saying he's going to help. He wasn't like trying to fool everybody by just suddenly going to church every Sunday.
But he also takes some marching orders from some very religious people, or is appointed people that wears their religion and governs with religion on their sleeve, like DeVos and Pence. I mean,
Lady Pence,
defunded HIV prevention and other things like that, and the clean needle exchange in Indiana when he was the governor. Hepatitis and HIV skyrocketed in the state of Indiana. It was one of the reasons he got fired. Is just the horrific human rights violations. And DeVos is so much anti-transgender and anti-LGBT and anti-public schools that you watch them use the weaponizing of religion, but also defunding a lot of things that help a lot of people, like public schools, for example. And you just wonder, you go, well, how are you loving? I guess you just don't love your poor neighbors. You don't love your black and brown neighbors. You don't love your LGBT neighbors. You just love the neighbors that look like you.
That's exactly right.
That's mighty Christian of you.
Well, no, I mean, no, exactly. And I know we're generalizing, and I tend to do that. But the ones that are hanging on to Trump, even as of today, there's, because there are a lot of them who've broken off and just not saying anything anymore because they realize they looking dumb, not smart. The ones that are hanging on, that are real vocal ones, the ones that are still hanging the flags on their boats at Lake Wiley, the ones that are still periodically putting a sign out, if you go to the rural areas, whatever.
Sure.
they're they're just hanging on. And the one thing in common is generally when you talk to those people, you can tell they don't like people of color. They don't like immigrants. They don't like people of color, and they're not shy about saying that. They may not say it as vocal or whatever, but they do have some. There's some things that are common. They also, I'm just trying to think when they lose, how do we? There would be an urge to say, I don't want to pay. I don't want to say paybacks are hell because I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
How do we? What do we do? Because we can't just abandon them. We can't do what Trump's doing to people. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I think there's a difference. So I see what you're saying, but here's a big difference.
Thank you, because I couldn't figure it out.
because there's a difference between not making it a big deal and letting bygones be bygones, and what Trump did when he took office, which was specifically target certain parts of America. And so for predominantly our Latinx neighbors, he ramped up the ICE raids and, has fought tooth and nail to do that. With our LGBT community, he immediately tweeted that he was going to throw all the transgender service people, which is the largest single employer of trans people in the United States, is the U.S. military, at over 14,000 strong, which is not a lot when you think about our military. It's of over 1 million people, but it's still 14,000 trans people woke up one morning and heard their commander in chief say, "You're fired."
Yeah.
Now, it didn't stick. The Pentagon bucked him on it and said, "No, we've been working on this program for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And no, we're not doing this. We've already studied this. We've already figured this out. We already have procedures in place," which they do. And it was just this irrational idiocy that really only the irrational people are left that are just, we're going to drink the Kool-Aid just like Jonestown. We're going to go right off the cliff with this guy. And I think what President Biden's going to have to do is just go, "I'm going to let y'all cool your heels over here. I'm not going to go after you. We got bigger fish to fry anyway." I mean, COVID's still going to be raging when he becomes president next January. So COVID, the economy, it literally is, he's going to inherit the same, if not worse mess than Obama. And he, inherited in 2009 when they took over for Bush, a two-front war, a destroyed economy then too. So
I agree. I think it's going to be worse because, the economy,
it's not coming back.
But worse is we can't bring the 160,000 people that have died back.
Yeah.
And obviously, and by that time, I think they're predicting like 180,000.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. Easily. And so that is just so.
We'll be way past that.
No one has.
Here's another couple important points is how many people are dying because they can't access health care or the maintenance meds. I read an article on HIV recently to prepare for the HIV show.
Remind me to tell you something about insurance. Go ahead.
And a lot of people, especially in other countries, but including the United States, are not going and getting tested for HIV and other ailments because they're afraid to go to the doctor, or there's limited access because of the crush of COVID patients. Also, too, long-term health issues like diabetes, heart, strokes, deaths in those big three categories are up 350% since March because they can't access ICUs. If your ICUs are 70, 80, 90% full, or they're cornered off for COVID only, those resources, you have a finite amount of resources in a hospital. You can't just crap out a bunch of extra doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
And so when you have a nationwide, worldwide pandemic, and we'll take it down to this country, you've strained the system.
Yeah.
But those other patients that need inoculations and testing and maintenance care, like specifically for HIV, heart ailments, those sort of things where you would survive longer if you had access to care, but if you can't go in for a while, or you get limited access, or you're just afraid to, I'm just going to stay home and die. That's exactly what's happened.
So
Down into the COVID numbers too, because they died because the COVID got out of hand, which Trump is also responsible for those too.
Yeah. So one of the things that I feel like, and I think everyone kind of has had this, but I try to be as empathetic to other individuals because I've driven without car insurance before. I couldn't afford insurance when I was really, really young and I got my first car. And my dad said, you can get the car, but you better have insurance. And I couldn't afford it and I didn't tell him. And I remember how nervous I was driving, being afraid to get stopped or, or just anything that happened.
Right.
I've had, I've lived in a hotel for, it was about 4 months. So technically I was homeless.
Right.
I was just lucky to be in the hotel business where I could check into a hotel that or staying home. When I was traveling, I was only home 4 days a month anyway. And so, but all my stuff was in storage at the time. And I was basically living out of a suitcase. And then right after 9/11, I didn't have a house or anywhere to live. So I had to go stay at one of my dad's rent houses. I've been without health insurance before. And I know how I wasn't as nervous as I am as I get older because you don't,
right.
You just be careful what you do or whatever. My health insurance bill was due on August the 1st, which is Saturday. Okay. I forgot. I got the bill, I think when we were in Key West, I got an email. I went online and I don't have it set up for automatic payment so I can hold my money as long as I can, so I have to pay it. And I had forgot. And then when we got back from dinner or something, I don't know, we did something Friday. Oh, I think we just up in the trailer camping, doing something on Friday. It was like 12:01. And I said, oh shoot, I gotta pay my health insurance bill. I logged online immediately, saw that email, I touched the tab. It went directly to my bill section and it said policy canceled. And I got I was like, I did a print screen. It was like 12/7. I sent Blue Cross an email. What's going on? This is because I thought, well, maybe I could say I'm in Pacific time, so technically it's 10 o'clock or or whatever. Of course, their customer service is only open Monday through Friday from like 8 to 7 or whatever. So there's no one I could call.
Oh wow!
All day Saturday it was on my mind, especially with COVID and everything going on. And I was too embarrassed to tell Andrew because the first thing would have, why don't you set it up for automatic payment? I can't believe this is this is like something a child does and it's ridiculous. So I didn't say anything Saturday. Sunday comes along and I literally am thinking about it. What am I going to do? What happens if I get sick? Or I was literally starting to have a lot of anxiety. I was thinking about it when we left Monday. I hadn't gotten an email back from them yet. And I didn't want to, we were kind of packing things up to leave on Monday morning. As we're driving here, and I was texting you too, I think sometime we were driving, and I saw that they had sent me an email, but I couldn't open it because I was on my phone and I didn't know my password and stuff. So I was like, it was bothering me. And all I kept thinking about is, if I go back, how am I going to afford the COVID test? If it's 174, I mean, I can afford it, but things like that. I started thinking, then I start thinking, well, maybe this is like a learning experience. You can deal with this like people who don't have insurance and they deal with it. But then I start thinking, that's stupid and irresponsible for you, to have it like something like, all these things were going through my mind. Get back home, we unpack, immediately go into the laptop, check it. The response was, I'm sorry, we were having technical difficulties. Please try to make your payment again. I immediately went and paid it. And it took like a couple hours for it to come back and paid, and everything is okay. I was so freaked out during that time period. But more importantly, I thought, because you kind of touched on it, if I didn't have that, the stress of thinking, if I did get COVID-19 and I had to go to the hospital, the expenses and all that stuff. And then to think, I'm like really fortunate. there are lots of people who don't have that, or who have lost their job and can't afford Cobra, or whatever the case may be. That is really, it's crazy.
The mass amount of layoffs in New York City came out with a statement the other day. It said that a third of the jobs that went away are never coming back.
Yeah.
These are businesses that shut their door forever, or scaled back, and they know they're not going to bounce back in a week or 6 months. Like, and they're coming out with all these vaccine rumors and saying, well, we're going to have it by November, we're going to have it by January. And I still contend, because everything I've read about, and the virologists, the people that study this, the people that are in the know, when you read the science, like, we're nowhere close. We're nowhere close, folks.
Hey, were you impressed by Stephen?
What, as far as you mean, like the libertarian, philosophy? I was not surprised, because what I've seen for the protests and the people that are the anti-maskers, the COVID idiots, as I call them.
Yeah.
I have not seen any of my libertarian friends chiming in on that. It's a strictly Trumpster.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not going to say just Republicans, but it's Trump. You scroll down and you see these pro-Trump things, and when you see the reopen idiots were flailing around because they couldn't go to Chili's on Friday nights.
Yeah.
It was
because
Trumpsters. They were holding Trump signs at the deal, so it's not. You can go back in late April and early May when they were flailing around like a bunch of 5-year-olds with handguns.
They were angry about opening the gym. You look at them like, girl, you have not been to the gym in a long time. I don't know why you want the gym to open. You're not.
Bunch of Karens and Garys that have all got boilers that are all these white privileged. Like, you didn't see people of color out there demonstrating, and they're going, I want to go to the gym. I want to go to Chili's. I want to go to my favorite bar. I want to go to the whatever that was closed down that was inconveniencing them. I'm like, what a slap in the face, one, for all the frontline people, whether they were service workers that were still working in restaurants that were still open, or whatever it was that you do for a living that had to go to work, that were essential workers. You're thinking, I'm out here doing 40, 50-hour weeks. So I'm glad that I still have a job, and I have to go to work. And you got all these really, really privileged people honking their horn on their SUVs going down the center of main streets, especially in state capitals, flipping out. I'm like, that was the definition of white privilege. Anybody wants to deny white privilege?
That's like, that's why I keep saying, every time we get one of those Karen videos, or one of those videos like you're talking about with the you're not the boss of me people. And every time that happens, there is a part of me that says, thank you for opening up jobs for other people. Because, they're going to get, so we do want to say, to a lot of them, thank you for opening up jobs for other people, because I obviously, I know how Jeff would feel about this if he was on about, they shouldn't be held, what they do in their personal life shouldn't affect their private life. I mean, their professional life. I remember when, I don't know if you remember, and I don't know if we talked about this, when social media first started, companies were starting to ask people to sign social media agreements and policies. And a lot of people, but a lot of companies, you have to, they have social media policies, and which is why they don't have their full name on their profile, or they don't have where they work at, because they don't want to bring attention to that. But if someone finds out, they will call you in the office, HR, and say, hey, listen, just want to let you know you shouldn't have done this or that, and whatever, delete it.
And it can be detrimental to that company's image especially if you're in a high profile position, like a marketing position or a frontline position where you're handling a lot of customers or patients. I remember this was probably, I want to say like 2010 or 2011, but I remember watching one of the news expose type shows like 2020, and this nurse
to catch a predator.
of really wild pictures, that the kind of stuff I post, very edgy. You know, she had a very edgy side to her life too, and she put it on her social media. She got fired. She was an RN. I think it was like Arizona or Texas or something like that. And she sued, and I think she ended up winning because it was like she wasn't doing anything against the hospital, so the hospital let her go. But she's like, this has nothing to do with my job, like this other side of me, and but it's nothing that hurt. It was all consenting adults. There was no nudity or anything, but it was very suggestive. It was very sensual, and the hospital flipped out. Like, I think it was like a church hospital too. So it was, on top of it was a religious nonprofit that owned the hospital nonprofit.
I mean, I think it's pretty much accepted now.
Maybe it's not a big deal.
Maybe it's the millennials that have helped change it, because I know, like our Gen Xers, we were more against that because you know, what do we call it? We're the like do nothing generation. The boomers. What did you call us? We were the, I forgot what you called us.
We just never showed up. We just
we're just like, we're like, I mean, you know, for us, we're like 80s music, yay. Breakfast Club.
We just never, when it comes to public service and especially politics, we just never really ran the race. Like, you know, we're never probably going to have a Gen X president. I think it's going to go right from
boomers to millennials.
Even though Biden's technically not a boomer, he's basically a boomer. He's technically the generation before the boomers.
Oh, really?
And
he is. Yeah,
because he was born in 43, I believe. Because he's the same age as my dad, which is, they're both 77. And what's so bizarre is that, you know, our 2024 president is probably going to be a millennial. There's a good chance it's going to go.
I think so too.
I think it's going to go right from our generation, right over our generation.
I'm fine with that.
I look at the millennial or the Gen X candidates. I'm going.
We have Kavanaugh.
It's why we had so many baby boomers at the top of the ticket, because everybody that was a front runner, whether it was Biden, Bernie, Warren, if you want to talk about the big three, the big three top vote getters, they were all boomers. Yeah. And then the fourth place person, I think, was Mayor Pete. He's a millennial. You know, he's late 30s.
Yeah, there's no Gen Xers in there. Yeah. And I'm fine with that.
Early on, the Beto's a Gen Xer. Yeah. He was almost a non-starter.
God, remember our Beto dance we were doing for such a long time?
I'm gonna get your guns.
I'm gonna get your guns. I'm gonna get your guns.
Well, we kept it going up until
we did.
I took my vacation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we did. That was fun.
I think the last show I did, in fact, I think some of our non-real-time shows, I think we still did the Beto dance early on. Yeah. We were still doing the dance on camera, which we haven't done in a while.
No.
But you know, it's just
we do it we'll have to come up with
we're something. To figure out something.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we're looks like we're already over. I can't believe it's already 12:35.
It's been an hour.
Yeah, God, it's crazy. And we started on time, I think. I hope that I'll be able to see you here soon. Of course, after I get my test.
Hopefully for you too.
Oh yes, so do I. God, I'm trying to think of I'm trying to spend this. I'm trying to. I did everything other than the barber shop, the barber scene.
That's the one I'm worried about.
Yes, so am I. I'm a little bit nervous about that, but
you don't look symptomatic. I mean,
no.
You.
And that barber thing happened almost 10 days ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
well, the one thing when I was researching the stuff for the first show, which was we were talking about vacations. Or tried to stay on the topic. One of the things that they said.
Thank you for trying to keep us on it.
I tried. I was like running in a bunch of cracked up 3-year-olds. Like, and I was like, finally at the end, we went politics like we're always going to. Yeah. And no matter what, even if we talk about the trunk, we're still going to end up in some political discussion. But I think what they talked about was some of the concerns with some of these beachside resorts is the public bathrooms.
Yes, yeah, they're all. Yep.
Was a big concern, and then the bar spaces, because so many people don't have kids when they go to these beach deals, like the 20 somethings, the 30 somethings that go to Myrtle Beach, for example, which Myrtle Beach at one time was the #1 beach hotspot for COVID in the entire United States. I don't know if those numbers are still true, but they were for many weeks, like they were COVID central.
Well,
and there's, I mean, when you go to the beach, you really you don't spend that much time at the beach. You really spend it at the local businesses, which most of them are indoors, and so.
Well, one of the things that they did, there's one real Smathers Beach is, they're all man-made beaches in Key West, technically. And it's really big. And Andrew went to that one almost every day. And there's another one, Fort, the military at the very end of the key, which is, it's a park and it's a beach. And he knew I wouldn't like that one because he said it was just too crowded. It's a really nice, beautiful beach, but it was just, people were just whatever. And we did go there once on a Sunday, and we got there early because I, didn't want to be around crowds. As soon as we walk in, there's a person you can rent these things that go in the ground or whatever. And I just went all the way. We went all the way to the very end of the beach where the seaweed was smelling. And I was fine. And there was a lady over there that had her mask on. She went in the water with her mask. And I was like, oh, I feel comfortable. And some other people started coming this way. And I was like, all right, time to go. I'm not, especially when they're like upwind, or whatever. And I also found that I believe they're Europeans, because I don't know what language they were talking. I don't know if they were vacationing there or something. They were like walking like not very far, going like to, and I was getting very, very uncomfortable. And
they're probably from Arkansas.
Mama.
The European language called hillbilly with a little bit of inner city slang there.
I will say that it was very nice, and I was joking with Andrew. The Key West, their Florida's primaries, I think, are like next week or something, and all their ballot in Key West is to vote against the really big cruise ships from ever coming back. They want them to be like a medium size and lower, because the big cruise ships dock, everybody gets off, and it gets packed and crowded up in Duval Street, and then they leave at nighttime right before the sun sets. And so on the ballot is to not have to worry about that anymore with COVID, whatever. And one of the reasons that I jokingly said is it's not really what they're really upset about is if you walk in Key West on Duval Street, when the cruise ships get off, you can always tell, because Americans walk on the right, Europeans are opposite, and they don't move. They will walk, and you keep having to go around them, because they're used to walking on the left. And when we go like this, like we drive. That's just kind of what we do. Well, they come on this side and they don't move. And so you keep having to go around them. And I jokingly said, God, it's going to be so wonderful to walk in Key West with these cruise ships, because people walk the right way. I don't know, maybe we walk the wrong way.
And the way they've got everything set up in Key West, specifically because, you've explained it on the show a couple times, it's such limited access to things right now, and probably for the indefinite future. Like, like I said, the things I've read on the vaccine is the actual health experts are saying we're never close. And even with them speeding up and skipping entire steps, which is a whole different subject and show. But the reality is, even, like with the flu vaccine, you still have about 40,000 people per flu season dying in the United States every year out of, 40, 50 million cases, which is less than 1%. But and we've had flu vaccines for decades. And with still that, I can't even imagine when they haven't even figured out all the symptoms.
Yeah, it's going to be
long-term effects. Like, how do you stop it? And I know one of the companies is doing like a 30,000 person trial. There's a few others doing a trial in China and several places in Europe. But truthfully, those steps are in place.
I guess we're just going to have to do the CDC. I guess we're just going to have to follow the CDC guidelines and do more glory holes.
That'll help Key West. Yeah, I'm sure there's a few of them there, especially in some of the beach bars.
So I was thinking about that. I can't believe that we haven't gotten creative and invented masks that have a straw, right? A straw that's
for drinking.
Yeah, for drinking at bars.
I thought you were going a way different
direction.
No. Like, I thought you were going to go. Are you talking about making a glory hole mask with a built-in condom? I'm like, that's brilliant.
Hey,
like, I mean,
with Velcro,
that might hurt though, wall to wall. But
no, I mean, my goodness gracious, football fans came up with the straw hat with the beard.
That's what I've been wondering is, especially
we should have asked them to be that.
To wear ball caps, and you could structure like a double-walled mask, but with some kind of straw that runs down, because these bands.
Yeah, exactly.
Why couldn't you run something down this? And I've said this several times. I think
astronauts do it, right?
Times. Like there's an entrepreneur out there somewhere that's really missing their calling.
And you just have the straw and you put it
and gear up a ball cap or a hat that has like a little holder for your beverage, and like some kind of well or somewhere you can pour the drink into the little well. And I mean, like, mixed drinks, for example.
Maybe Mr. My Pillow, maybe Mr. My
liquor and fillers. You've got a drink.
I can't believe the My Pillow guy hasn't come up with that.
I don't know. Maybe we do this for the show. Yeah, we go to every beach town in America and make them in if we don't get COVID.
So, no, I mean, think about it, Jenny. I mean, if you had the mask and the straw was built in or attached in, it wouldn't be able to come through there, and you could
you could drop it down. So
yeah, through there maybe.
Like I got a couple of my masks are like the latex rubber masks, so you could put a silicone mask with latex or some type of silicone, and at least put the piping. And you could even make them cleanable. You could remove the cloth and slide it off and wash it.
Or just we can
maybe even, we need to shut up and we need to go get a patent on this or utility patent.
Yeah, if you're watching this, we came up with it first. Of course, I don't know anything about safety. We'd have to get like someone like Dr. B to like advise us.
Well, yeah, we'd have to get much smarter people than us. But
we had the idea.
We had the idea. Like
we're great at ideas.
Like it's like I need to call Mark Cuban and go, man, I've got the deal for you, and then quickly go down and file a patent, the utility patent, real quick. Because even if it's pending, as long as you got it filed, But I can't believe that we have not, especially with all the.
Or someone hasn't done it as a joke. Yeah, I'm surprised no one has done it even as a joke. You know what I mean?
Even as a novelty idea, like
exactly.
I haven't gone. When I go into stores, I haven't gone into regular like Spencer's or something like that, or in a mall. I've avoided malls, so I haven't gone browsing. When I go into a grocery stores. I've gone in a couple restaurants, but I go to get it to go. I usually have it ordered by the time I go in, and I bone out. So you in a restaurant.
So you could walk in with your regular mask,
right?
And then when you're about to drink, change it if you want to, even if it has that straw sticking out.
No, but the whole point is that if you run it down inside the mask, is that the straw isn't exposed.
Exactly.
I think if you attached it to some type of cap, some kind of COVID cap, like you need to get optional goggles with it because now they're saying you need to wear goggles too.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Or some kind of hat with like a drop down visor and a straw, and where the little tank could be supported on the hat, and then your mask could be like sold in a combo to where the tube could the straw could rest on the mask.
That sounds too complicated.
Yeah. It really isn't. Like you only need 4 pieces. You need a reservoir to pour the alcohol.
All that for a beer.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah, well,
if I could get a
Trying to think
beer,
how I could
sit
come
in
up with-
public, and stay safe and not die,
Yeah.
you know, or get
Oh,
really
no. I would not.
Plus, if you made it
Especially-
fun, like with great
Yeah.
colors or sports teams.
Exactly. Yeah.
Think about the stadium, the licensing on
Mhm.
just selling in football stadiums and all these different arenas. Because you got to figure we're going to go through, I'm guessing we're going to go through 2 or 3, 4 more years of this. Like I think it's going to be a subject in 2024 when we have the
Really?
next presidential election. Oh, absolutely. Because every expert on the vaccine has said it's a 2022 thing. Like it's still, you got to still think about ramp up production.
Yeah.
And all these vaccine factories are not going to just shut down and just make COVID vaccines.
I agree with you, and I do think that if
we still have polio in the world,
Yeah.
we still have
yeah
you still have vaccines for all these other ailments.
Mhm.
Like what people don't think about, and this is only because one of my former roommates was a mechanical engineer, and
Mhm.
one of his points was is that whether it's making masks, one of the
Mhm.
problems with PPE and the masks was that you couldn't just shutter these manufacturing facilities and then retool them just to make masks.
Mhm.
So a lot of communities got creative, and a lot of advocates just made them in their
Yeah.
homes or whatever. But with that vaccines, they only come out of very specific places that have
Yeah.
cleanliness expertise. This is a very
Yeah.
specialized, and most vaccines are actually made in India. They're
Mhm.
one of the biggest manufacturers of all the vaccines in the world.
Mhm.
Almost all the pharmaceutical companies own facilities in there.
Yeah.
But you've still got companies making PrEP and making all these other things that are selling billions of vials of this.
Mhm.
Where are you going to come up with the space to get? Everybody said we'll probably need 2 vaccinations or two, you know, whether it's going to be drinkable or injectable. That we're going to have to cover the entire plant. We're going to have 14 to 15 billion dosages of this vaccine.
Mhm. So
Well, where's that going to come from?
yeah.
Like
Well-
even for America, we're going to need 600 to 700 million dosages. With 320 million estimated Americans, that's 640 million.
So let's get
Minus
back to the straw.
Killed off.
So it'd be a straw this big that would go here, but it'd be sewn into it or a little Velcro snap.
Well, see that's the wrong way. See, I think
You're right.
You mount it and then you drop it down almost like an earpiece, except it's going to be a mouthpiece, and it follows the structure of.
But then they'd have to pour it up here.
In.
But then they'd have to pour it up here, right?
Yeah, because you want it to go downhill.
Okay, but this one,
Yeah.
you could just drink it from a glass.
Well, why would you do that? Because then you'd have an opening on your mask.
Yes, so you're right. The Velcro thing would expose you, so it'd have to be built in.
Yeah. So if you have a little reservoir, you can actually either lean over or hand it to the barkeep. They can pour the alcohol into the reservoir with gloves on.
Yeah.
You can put it on your deal yourself with a little cap, so nobody drops COVID into your thing because they're talking too much or they pull their mask down and tell a joke, you know. And you would have a self-contained reservoir. We could call them COVID caps. And you literally you have options of visors and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But it would come down the side of your face is how I'm envisioning it.
Yeah.
With a flexible silicone, reusable, washable tube, and just drop into your mouth to where you just pop it in like a little sucky.
Well, so that would just be like the beer caps.
Yeah, basically a beer cap, but with the option of maybe
adding something else. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like mine better.
But then it gets back to your little dust mask that you.
Yeah, you're right.
Is it now you compromise the front of your face?
Well, that's what I used to.
COVID in your mouth hole.
No, that's true. And after Dr. B and y'all brought that up, I use the one filter that goes in it. Then I use another one upside down, so all holes are blocked.
That's what she said.
All right. Well, we've run out of time. We've actually gone over. We didn't really throw a lot of shade today. So
no, I railed on the Republicans, and I got to rail on the local schools still trying to make certain school employees come back to work instead of trusting them, letting them work from home. I'm like, that kind of gets a tinfoil hat deal. That's a very controlling, territorial thing where principals are sending them emails. So, well, you still got to. It's I think called a required deal.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how that's going to play out.
Well, I do think that I mean we don't have topics for the rest of the shows in August, but I would like to one of them maybe like talk about kind of what we were talking about earlier is if you're still a Trump fan like after Labor Day, what does that mean about you? I mean,
you can't wear white or be a Trump fan after Labor Day.
Oh yeah, I mean because obviously theoretically you're always going to have some people that support the incumbent. It's just regardless.
Yeah.
But this is such a unique situation. He is actually, and this is not coming from Democrats or this is from Republicans that are saying he is continually delusional, idiot,
even Republicans
dangerous
are breaking ranks from him on a lot of things, whether they're candidates or office holders. And then you've got your regular Republicans, just your voters, your constituents. And you've actually got several groups of conservatives that are running ads against him, that are actually campaigning against him.
This is what's going to be really interesting for us to find out is how, Bathroom Dan, he was all in with Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally he made the calculation that no matter what Trump did, it was better for him to stay with him, and so he's all in. He's done. No one has really gone.
But he had to, because not to defend him, but he was asking for money.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the Democrats backed McCready pretty hard. They dumped a lot of money into his campaign, which was really a waste of money. And so the Republicans realized that, and they went all in. So it was like a high stakes poker game. But to do that, he had to kiss the ring of the king. He wasn't going to be able to say, well, I need an 8-figure ask to win a District 9 race, even though he cheated on the last one. And so he's like, well, and I know I screwed up the Republican Party writing the bathroom bill, but we really want to win this, so we're kind of in a really bad marriage. I wonder, because I read an article about what is the Republican Party going to do after post-Trump, whether it's 2021 or 2025. And there's a lot of Republicans that are now governors and stuff like that that are thinking about running for president, and they are going to try to be the face of the party. Which I have a feeling Trump's not going to go away. Like, even when he gets out of office, I think he's going to be the elephant in the room.
I think he's going to.
It wasn't like Nixon, where
he disappeared.
So disgraced, he just went off and with his.
I don't know. I just think that once he loses, and once I think that I think that the paybacks come. And I think I think he's been such a dick to so many people, just like the person we talked about. It's not a good comparison.
But what about the people Trump and the Trumpsters are going to do to the anti-Trump Republicans?
Yes. Yeah. No, they're gonna.
But I think it's going to go both ways.
Yes, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like, quite honestly, the only reason that these Trump supporters that are hanging on have any leverage or any voice is because they're being, and now this is going to sound bougie, this is going to sound elitist, but it's the only way I know how to. The only reason we're putting up with the trailer trash right now is because we have to, because their president is in office. Right. Once that ends, we are going to go back to saying, listen, dear,
go back to your hole.
Yes, hole. And I think, and I think the only reason they are empowered to feel like they is because
they have the Justice Department. They have
exactly.
Betsy DeVos. They have all the
once their protection goes away
in January, it's going to be gone. It'll be like why they were so they were so
Yeah.
quiet during the Obama years. You didn't hear the radical right being as crazy because Obama, you know, just the Justice Department after him. Like if a state got real crazy,
and because remember then they were saying, well, everyone wants to be just so politically correct. No, we're just calling bullshit out.
Yeah.
So now that they've used that politically correct thing, now that they've shown us exactly who they are, there's no hiding. They're telling you in your face, I'm a racist, I'm a bigot, I don't like brown people, I don't like trans people, I don't like you, whatever the issue is. I hate to say this like this, but there is going to be not only a relief that Trump's no longer in office, but we are, as a society, we are going to say, you put us through all of this shit for 4 years. And many of us are going to forgive him. This is our nature. We're going to say, all right, now let's come back together. But some people are going to say,
but COVID is drawing a hard line in the sand. You're either pro-mask or anti-mask. Like there's no in between.
86% of Americans, the latest poll, 86% of Americans believe in wearing masks, that you should wear a mask. There's nothing, that's a lot. I mean, that is an incredible.
Well, it's a no-brainer. It's really
so the fact, so those few 14% that are still.
They're Trumpsters.
They're just like.
They're Trumpsters. They're the radical Joe Sixpack COVID idiot that's running around there, flailing around, saying God told us that we need to breathe on our own.
And those are the people. And I feel a little sorry, but I don't feel sorry. It's kind of like this catch-22. Well, I feel sorry because they're going to have a very difficult time getting jobs.
Well, this is just like a really nasty divorce that we're going through right now. And Papa Joe is going to get the kids. He's going to get 86% of the kids,
and all the friends are going to side with Papa Joe.
And old DT is going to get the 14% of the property and the kids and all that. And they're going to be really mad, and they're going to go home and hug their cock-shaped pillows and cry and throw fits at Targets and do their and Burger Kings and stuff like that. But they're not going to have that champion anymore. It's going to sit up there and say, well, this is really a Chinese virus. And so, like, you're not going to hear daily tweets and chicanery and fuckery from Biden. Biden's going to get there and go, look, I'm just here to right the ship.
Don't you?
Policies.
I mean, aren't you so ready for that?
I'm so ready for a non-Twitter in chief or a non-Twitter chief.
I'm just ready for. And admittedly, there was a little bit of excitement, a little bit of, well, what's Trump going to do? Even if he is a little bit of like what we think he might be, at least it'd be a little bit exciting. It'd be good for talk show. It'd be good for comedy. It'd be good for whatever.
He's not going away. He'll still be the former clown in chief. So Mac Little Hands won't go away. He's not going to disappear on the scene. I mean, unless he leaves office and strokes out the next week. Yeah. Or use the jumper cables too much with Putin.
I think Melania and Barron are going to poison him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they have to. I've seen his diet, and he doesn't look so good. But I do.
We're not supposed to do any of that. Oh, I'm not supposed to do that.
But I think basically he can be a objector to the Biden administration, but since he won't have any power, and so many Republicans are divorcing him too.
Oh, they are gonna. He's gonna.
I told you last year, the Republicans are going to be his undoing. It's not going to be the Dems.
Yes.
Because the Republicans turned on Nixon.
Yep.
The Republicans turned on Herbert Walker Bush.
Yep.
And the common sense, moderate to almost libertarian style Republicans are going, I'm ready to not be associated with this anymore.
Just like Lady
once, but not twice. It's not happening.
Just like Lady Tariq.
Yeah, just like Lady Tariq, Lady T, and Missy G.
Yes,
there's going to be a lot of people jumping off the ship.
Okay. On that note, we've gone over a half hour.
Yeah.
So I have to go to Okay. You know what I mean. I think you know what.
There's going to need some break needed.
Yes, I have to take a break. Bye, y'all. We'll see
Bye.
you next
Y'all be
week.
safe.
Bye.